ho, let's go. Hey ho, let's go. Hey ho, let's go. Hey ho, let's go to the show. That works better. Hey ho, let's go to the show. That rolls off the tongue. Hey ho, let's go to the show. That something like that. That's the way. That's I think that's the way. Uh-huh, uh-huh. I like it. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Can you believe this festival? This is insane. I was not expecting anything like this. I mean, this is blowing my mind. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the brand new CBGBs festival, CBGB festival that is happalapping in September 27th. CBGBs comes back to New York. The CBGB Festival. I mean, this is an insane sort of situation here. CBGB started as a club in 1973. Hilly Crystal, who I had the pleasure of meeting once, honored to meet such a legendary figure within punk rock history. Lenny, Hilly opened up this club where he wanted original music. He wanted original bands to play their original music because, everybody was doing covers at the time. A whole scene developed within it. We all know the story. And the club was around for 33 years. And what's in the last 3 years of its existence, I personally started to go as a wee teen lad, started to go into the city. I'd venture into the city, get off at the Bleecker Street stop and walk over to 315 Bowery and, see my friend's band play or catch somebody playing, catch TSOL or the Bad Brains. Yeah, I mean, it was just, really just sort of, I read a lot about that history, and then to be there in that place, incredible. All that to say that I feel very fortunate to have gotten to experience the final page, the closing of the book that was CBGB, and it's been gone for a long time. It's been gone for 19 years now, and there have been like various sort of like CBGB type like they have done a CBGB festival in the past. If you recall, in 2012, that's when the stabbing took place. Harley Flanagan was jumped in a dressing room and took on a bunch of guys, and a lot of people went to the hospital, and that was like a CBGB event. So CBGB is sort of, endured as like a brand. It remained as a brand, but nobody's really done anything with that brand. And that sounds kind of like lame and plastic. And it's kind of like, hey, this isn't a brand. This was a time and a place, and that's ended and it's gone now. And it's best left, read about in books or watched on YouTube and old videos that people have, captured and whatnot. And I kind of like the idea of CBGB enduring, even though I guess it's kind of ironic and kind of counterintuitive for it to become sort of like a corporate festival thing. But, everything's commodified these days. And the idea that a festival with this kind of lineup could return, like, I'm okay with that. I am. I really am. 19 years ago, 21 years ago, I went to Little Steven's Underground Rock Garage Festival on Randall's Island, and that had something very similar to this. And it was, it's weird to think that CBGB still existed when that festival took place. They had no values on the West Coast, and we were all on the East Coast, just like, sweating the West Coast, being like, man, like what? And that lineup was stacked. That was a stacked lineup, kind of like a once in a lifetime kind of show. I would say that the No Values lineup might have been better than this lineup. It might have been better because you have some overlap with a few concessions, but I would still prefer, if I could choose which concert I'd want to go to, it'd probably be No Values, because it just had everything, carte blanche, like everything you could want was at No Values. For someone on the East Coast who could not make it out to No Values and has $150 to spend, this is what a friggin' value this is. Why am I hiding the thing? It's right here. Check this out. This is insane. Look at this thing. I mean, just the sheer value alone. Let me tell you something. Before we continue, let me tell you what else is valuable. Let me tell you real quick about what else is valuable. Riot stickers. You get incredible value with Riot stickers. You can get 1,000 stickers for $79 when you go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. If you want to get CBGB stickers made up, you might get sued, but you can definitely get them made up. You know, you call up Sharpie Riot, and Sharpie might go, I'm not going to print those up because I don't want to take on any liability. But maybe if you tickle him in the right places, he'll eventually acquiesce and you'll print up some really cool stickers. You can get 3-inch by 3-inch vinyl stickers. They're UV coated protection. I mean, what better way to promote your punk band or your movie or your book or whatever it is that you're doing? Or maybe you just want to commit acts of random vandalism, which I encourage. I encourage you to make art, put it on a sticker and slap it around your city. And you could do that affordably and economically with Riot stickers. And you go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. That's FRUMESS. And you take advantage of this deal. 1,000 stickers for $79 with free shipping. You can't go wrong. Riotstickers.com. Riot stickers, they are the bomb. We'll be right back to discuss this incredible show after a word from our sponsor.
Posters and promo cards, there's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. We are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot stickers, we are the bomb.
And that, my friends, is a promise. Eric is here. I'm not almost finished, Eric. You came right on time. This is a good time to come. Wish I could make it out there for the fest. Hey, if you want to make it happen, you'll make it happen. I understand, though. Listen, it's not easy to do these things. It's really not. If No Values had Marky Ramone, it would have been the perfect punk fest for you. For you, it would have been the perfect punk fest. So to get back to what I was saying, again, in a world where, like, here's the thing. Okay, here's my perfect take on this whole thing. If there were new things that were coming up, like if you had like a cheaper version of Riot Fest that was like $30 a head or whatever, if you had like new things, I mean, even Riot Fest itself, which is a corporate thing, but still Riot Fest is cool. I'm down with Riot Fest. If you had new festivals coming out, like I don't need a festival that's called CBGB to be playing a bunch of old head punk bands, dinosaur punk bands, I guess they would consider them now. But in a world where you have every flavor of everything under the sun, in a world where, these guys are still walking the earth and they're still playing music, and why wouldn't you put them under something? I don't think of this as sort of a commodifying, because it's not like they've tried to squeeze blood out of a stone with the CBGBs brand. Yes, there were some cringe decisions that were made, like putting a CBGBs store in Newark airport. That's a strange thing, especially because it's in Newark. I could understand if it's in one of the airports, like, in New York City proper, but the idea that it's in New Jersey, that's a little strange. That was always a little strange to me. I think they try to do something in Las Vegas too. there are lots of weird decisions, okay, with the CBGB's brand. But one thing that I guess is not weird, to honor what CBGB was and to keep the name alive, why wouldn't you do a festival? To me, that works. That is a valid thing to do, and that's how I have to view it. Question: did White Stripes ever play CBGBs? The correct answer is yes. White Stripes played CBGBs numerous times, like 8 times. And here's the thing, and that's the weird thing. Of course you want to have bands that played at CBGB, but it shouldn't be a rule. It's not a rule, yet at the same time, I feel like you need to pay homage to CBGB. And we're about to go through the lineup right now that's been announced. Maybe there's more bands coming. And I'm about to show some of my ignorance in not knowing who some of these bands are, but they don't really matter. It doesn't really care. Let's first break down, I guess, first let's go to the festival info. Did that go? Yeah. That's general info. No, we don't want it. We don't need that. Where's the thing about the history? Oh, here we go. Wow, you have a whole thing for the bands. That's cool. Here we go. Here's a little bio on CBGB and OMFUG. Other music for uplifting gormandizers, if you didn't know what that stood for. Country, bluegrass, blues, and other music for uplifting gormandizers. That's what CBGB and OMFUG stands for. Founded in 1973 in Manhattan's East Village, CBGB was ground zero for the seminal punk rock and new wave movements, launching the careers of bands like the Ramones, Blondie, Talking Heads, Television, Patti Smith Group, and the Beastie Boys. During the 1980s, CBGBs would become home to the hardcore punk revolution, and in the 1990s, the club featured early shows for some of the biggest grunge and metal bands. And that's where you get the Sunday hardcore matinees that Drew Stone and his crew, they're keeping the New York Hardcore Chronicles crew, they're keeping that tradition alive and well in New York. And I think it's actually really amazing and I'm glad that that's happening. Crazy White Boy is here. How you doing? I'm glad that you're here to catch a live show. Over the past 50 years, CBGB has become the most famous, influential, and talked about rock and roll club of all time. While the club closed in 2006, CBGB and its iconic logo continue to personify underground and alternative music and all that it still stands for. I mean, it's existed as a t-shirt. A lot of people wear CBGB t-shirts, not even know what it means. We can do that whole fucking, posers. It's whatever, man. I don't care. I can claim, though, that I have peed in that urinal. I've peed in the CBGB's toilet, considered to be the worst toilet in New York City. I've never taken a dump there. There were no walls. You just sat on a throne. Anybody who came in to take a piss would see you on the throne. My friend Ian Tushman did drop a deuce in the CBGB's bathroom. Kind of an amazing feat. My friend, he was in a band, and my friend's band, they would go down to CBGB. That's how I started going. I'd carry an amp to get in, and I would watch them play to nobody on a Tuesday night at CBGB. And that happened on and off for a few years until the end. Until I think the last show I went to was 2006. Or was it 2005? I don't remember. And it's a really great experience. And now they're doing this festival situation. CBGB, the festival. The CBGB Festival celebrates New York City's gritty, sticker-covered past through the lens of a modern punk era. That's perfect. That makes sense. With a lineup bridging punk's origins to its future torchbearers. So that's the key. So a lot of people I'm already seeing on the, hey, I remember seeing the Lindas play at CBGBs. Get it? Because Lindas weren't around when they played CBGBs. Oh, wow. You're so clever. Thank you for that comment. So awesome. You're so cool, Brewster. You're so cool. Yeah, no, I've never seen the Ramones live. The closest thing I ever saw to the Ramones was right down the street from CBGB was another club called the Continental. and they used to put on these occasional shows after they stopped. The guy Trigger, who ran the place, would put on these shows. And CJ Ramone did a set of Ramone songs with Daniel Ray, who's kind of like the fifth Ramone. And that was the closest I will ever come to seeing the Ramones play in New York City. I just was not old enough to have attended. I mean, I could have technically seen it. The Ramones retired when I was 11 years old, but that stuff was not on my radar at that time. So what did I, I was getting into the Beatles, man. I was just starting that, there's that sort of what's it called? Passage. What's it called? What am I trying to say? The rite of passage. The rite of passage. You enter middle school, you discover Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd and all the Jimi Hendrix and the Doors. And that's kind of where I was at that time. I wasn't there yet, but eventually I would get there. And I was conscious for bands like the Ramones and Sublime and just things that I would have loved to have seen if I was just a few years older. I just couldn't. Just didn't happen, man. Just didn't happen. But I like that there have a lineup that's bridging punk's origins to its future torchbearers. Under the K Bridge was hand selected as the perfect venue. Yeah, because New York is too expensive for whatever they're planning. If they really wanted to do this right, they would have the show take place in Union Square because it's too small for CBGB. I guess they couldn't do that. It'd be impossible logistically and, the budget. But if I had my druthers, or no, what am I saying? Tompkins Square Park. They totally could put it on in Tompkins Square Park. It's a shame that it's not in Tompkins Square Park. That would be my one caveat. It's like, dude, keep it on the Lower East Side, man. That is a pragmatically situated place where they could have made it happen. You know what I mean? Expect a jam-packed. So that's why they did it. They picked that as the perfect venue, both for its location in the cultural hub of Brooklyn and for its gritty industrial nature of the site itself, which is kind of a cop-out. It should have been in Tompkins Square Park. And I think that if you took a poll of people who were, if you asked New Yorkers or people that used to go to CBGBs or whatever and said, hey, where would you want a CBGB festival to take place? I think everybody would say Tompkins Square Park. I second guessed that too. I was like, yeah, Union Square. No, Tompkins Square Park, of course. So you're going to expect a jam-packed full day of 20 bands. I love that it's one day and not like 3 days. That's annoying. A full day of 20 bands across 3 stages, vintage and new merch collections, tons of local food and beverage options, and expansive CBGB installations. I don't know what that means. What is that? What? Oh, installations. Sorry, I couldn't read it with this. Installations, including relics from the original club, which is cool, but I touched those walls. I was there, man. There are photos of me. Let me see. Since we're talking about it, right? Let me see if I could let me pull this up real quick. I'm going to pull this up real quick. Here's me as a young man at CBGB when I was just a teenager and I was just really getting into punk rock and stuff and really, expanding. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful that somebody had a camera, a photo camera, and took pictures. Oh my God. Can I not find these photos? I should have had these ready to go. I've shared them before here, but I just feel like it's really, here they are. Okay. So this is me backstage here. I've done this before. So if you've seen this before, sue me. So there's a young Jeffrey. There he is, a young whippersnapper. So there I am at CBGB's in backstage. I believe that used to be the kitchen, and then it became a guest room. There I am. Those are my friends who are in the band, and there you can see me and in my hat. And we're sort of just leaning on the stage, and the club hasn't opened yet. We've loaded in. There's another photo in that backstage, and those are my friends. Those were the guys in the band. I think I took that photo. And yeah, those are some cool memories. I am really great. The photos are all framed over there. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to have these photos, to have this like evidence, you know. Can we all start listing bands we didn't actually see at CBGB like we did? I love that. Cause like when I saw Milli Vanilli at CBGB, it made me want to start a hardcore band. Eric, that might be the funniest thing you've ever said in my live chat. Eric, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. So all right, let's look at it's time. Let's look at the look who's there. Who's gonna be here. Let's analyze. Let's sort of pour over this line. So at the top you have Iggy Pop, which Iggy Pop has played CBGB, and you can't. I mean, I feel like you can't do a festival like this without having talked about having somebody from the beginning. And the thing is, so many are dead. So many are dead. So many are defunct. So many are inactive. And the fact that Iggy Pop, the king of the dogs, is still out there, you know, in the trenches, you know, even though he's, you know, a little worse for wear and his scoliosis has really sort of gotten out of control and one leg is shorter than the other. God bless Iggy Pop is still out there with a backing band, just doing the thing that he was doing in 1967. He's still doing it. And it's kind of incredible. And I mean, he's been performing since 64. You know, can you imagine? He's been performing for 61 years, man. That's insane. And here he is headlining the CBGB Festival. It's perfect. I'm stoked. And I was just stressed, and I was like, man, I need to see Iggy one more time. Last time I saw Iggy was 2016. I saw him with the Stooges in 2007, and I saw him at the Stooges in 2004. So this will be if this is the last time I see Iggy, I'd be stoked. Then you got Jack White, who I've never seen live, and I'm sure that would be great. I would enjoy that. There's never a time where I'm like, man, I need to go catch Jack White, you know, but I love some of those later White Stripes albums. I respect Jack White. I'm down. Jack White's played CBGBs. That's cool. Then you have Frank Carter. If you notice, look at the fine print up top here. This is not the Sex Pistols. This is Frank Carter and Steve Jones, Paul Cook, and Glenn Matlock of Sex Pistols. So they're using some very clever branding to piss off Johnny Rotten, but B, to also, you know, exploit the brand of which that is very much theirs, and the marks, you know, the Sex Pistols logo. I mean, God bless them for doing it. And they're going to do that Bullocks album, Never Mind the Bollocks, and it's great. That's great, man. That's great. I'm all about that. And I was going to go see that anyway by itself. So that alone, I was going to go see by itself. That alone, I don't know what the tickets are going for. That it's got to be $60. So the entire price for this festival is $150, which is insane. That's insane to me. Like, that is really insane. Because just alone, Iggy Pop is going to be $70, $80 alone. Same thing probably for Jack White. And again, I don't know what the Sex Pistols, $60, $70, $80, right? Then you have the Damned, right? Damned is going to be like $50, $55. You have the Damned, and it's the Damned. It's basically it's my favorite lineup of the Damned. It's not, Brian James has passed away and he's not here anymore, but the next best thing, I wouldn't say that's the best thing either. I'd say it's just different. This to me is the best thing. So you're going to get the best lineup of the Damned. Then you got the Cromags. You got Harley Flanagan, who had been playing CBGB since he was 10 years old or whatever. Harley Flanagan is going to be there with his Cromags doing his thing, probably, you know, doing his whole thing. And here's the thing that's super important. You got to represent New York hardcore here. You got to represent the roots, the whatever, not the roots. I mean, the whatever, the staples. So you got Cromags, you got Gorilla Biscuits, you got Murphy's Law down at the bottom. I thought there was kind of a bit of disrespect to Murphy's Law. They should be higher up on this bill. You got Johnny Marr from the Smiths. So that's interesting, and I appreciate that. I don't know that I would put it. I mean, like, I wouldn't put I would replace Destroy Boys with Murphy's Law. That's just strange to me. Lip Critic, I've never heard of that band. Lamborghini Girls, haven't heard of them. You got the Lunatics, that's rad. Kind of funny that Marky Ramone is down a ways. He's not up higher. It's nice that there's a Ramone. There should be a Ramone at a CBGB festival, and there's only three you can pick from. You can pick from Richie, Marky, or CJ. And the shame is that the three of them are not together doing, a band called like Ramones Blitzkrieg or Blitzkrieg of the Ramones, something like that, where you have, CJ on bass and Marky on drums and Daniel Ray on guitar, and maybe you have, since he's a singer now, you have Richie singing, and that to me would be like, in a world without the Ramones, that's what we need, right? At least just sort of carrying on the legacy, especially because Marky has done a really good job of just going out there and playing his set. Although I do think it's weird that he's got those three guys. I would so rather see Daniel Ray and CJ up there than him with his guys. That's just strange to me. Linda Linda's a newer band. Again, that's going to be great. You got the Melvins. I've never seen Melvins, so I'm down for that. I'd really like to see Melvins. Teenage Mortgage. I discovered these guys on Spotify. Really great band out of DC. I don't know Yahweh Nailgun. Not familiar. Not familiar with Pink Shift. Not familiar with Soul Glow. So now let's talk about. Yes, I know that CJ and Marky are no longer on speaking terms. I'm well aware of that's the tragedy. They were family at one point because Marky's niece was married to CJ, and I don't know if that was the cause of the fallout, but. Let's talk about some egregious sort of missing staples from what this lineup, in my personal opinion. Right off the bat, you are missing Bad Brains, straight up. The Bad Brains are still alive, right? They're all still alive. I don't know what, Dr. No is a little worse for wear. He was sick. He was bedridden. He was in the hospital. So I don't know if he could still play, but in a world where, those guys were going out with HR being in the state of mind that he was, the fact that like you couldn't maybe like do a more laid back set, that would be great to have or if you're not going to have the Bad Brains, have a Bad Brains jam. Get friggin' Angelo Moore of Fishbone out there fronting the Bad Brains. That's happened in the past. Fine, whatever, fuck it. Probably be more exciting than with HR. But the idea that there's no Bad Brains being represented here, to me, is sacrilegious. That's a sacrilegious thing. 2, this is the perfect time for Richard Hell to come out of retirement and do one set at the CBGB Festival. We're not asking for new music. He shot his creative wad many, many years ago. He's a recluse. He does his intellectual, snobby intellectual thing. Richard Hell is still alive and kicking. Ivan Julian is still out there. These guys should put together a lineup of the Voidoids, and they should do. You got fucking Marky Ramone is going to be there. Marky Ramone was in the Voidoids. Get Marky, get Ivan, get Richard Hell, and have them do a Blank Generation set. Straight the fuck up. So that to me, that's crazy. That's crazy. Additionally, and I understand why. They just lost Clem Burke, but Blondie was out there doing their thing still. Debbie Harry at least was. And she was so integral to CBGBs. It kills me that they're not playing a set. And lastly, you would imagine this would be the perfect opportunity for the Talking Heads to, you could, instead of Jack White, you put the Talking Heads up there next to Iggy Pop. That would have just been, that would have taken the cake. So they're doing the best that they can at the CBGB Festival. This is a hell of a lineup, and it shows promise for this could be the Riot Fest East. You know what I mean? This could be the Eastern answer. If you have no values on the West Coast and you have Riot Fest in the Midwest, then the CBGB Festival should be the East Coast Fest. And that is what this could be. And the things I just mentioned could be potential, things in the future, in the way that Riot Fest likes to bring out bands to reunite. Now, one egregious example of that seems to be missing here is the Misfits. Like, you would imagine Misfits went out and they did No Values on the West Coast. Why on earth would they not be playing the CBG Festival? Well, some people on my page, I have a Misfits nerd fan page thing, and people are like, "Oh, well, like, Glenn hates that." Like, come on, dude, that was fucking 7 years ago. Like, give me a break. Hilly's dead for 33 years. Hilly has had nothing to do with. Hilly died a few years after the CBGBs closed. They have nothing to do with. I mean, come on, that's absolutely ridiculous. And that was such an exaggeration by Glenn. We brought all our fans and we didn't get paid. It was a fucking showcase. The band didn't play until 2 a.m. They weren't even advertised. You know what I mean? It was like, to call it an official show is even a little bit of a stretch. So, as far as the Misfits, as far as that not being a reason why the Misfits are not on this bill, to me, it's insane. The Misfits should be on this bill. And my guess is not because of some like bad blood with a brand it's so stupid. My guess is that they might have been approached, or maybe an offer was sent their way, and that they turned it down or that they were asking for too much money, and the promoters were like, go screw yourself. That is, I don't know that at all. That's what I imagine, because why else would you not have the Misfits on this bill as a New York band? As I mean, that as a draw, like, you would imagine that the Misfits, and they haven't done a New York show in a while, like, this would have been perfect for them to be right up there next to. And then you could say, well, it's kind of like No Values Mach 2, but it's like, dude, No Values was on the West Coast. We didn't get a No Values, so give us this. Now, an additional thought to this is, a long time ago, the great Peter Crowley, I was his assistant in 2010. And I helped him to put on some of his Max's Kansas City reunions. They didn't have any corporate big budget backing. They were just impromptu affairs that he would put together, and they were really cool. And you would imagine that having those marks, the Max's Kansas City mark, that why on earth is there no Max's Kansas City Festival? And there should be. And, ultimately, do we need a Max's Kansas City Festival in addition to a CBGB Festival? Probably not. They're interchangeable, one or the other. I guess CBGB has better recognition and makes more sense. You would want it to be a CBGB Festival, so fine. But I'm just saying. Additionally, why not have Cheetah Chrome? I mean, Cheetah Chrome, he's out there, he's touring with his Dead Boys. Let Cheetah, like, why isn't Cheetah Chrome on this bill? That to me is insane. I'm sure they could have afforded him. That to me sucks. They absolutely could have had, should have had, would have had Cheetah Chrome on this bill. Who else is missing that really should have been? I really feel like Patti Smith is not a fit. I hate Patti Smith, so maybe that's why I'm kind of biased, but I really feel like Patti Smith would not fit in well with this roster of bands. Just would not work. And you can't do television, but you could get Richard Lloyd. Now, television, Richard Hell with television. I mean, Richard Hell, the fact that Richard Hell is not involved to me is so insane. Like, that's insane. Some sort of Johnny Thunders tribute set. Well, I guess it would have been more of a Max's Kansas City thing, but everybody's gone except for Richard Hell. Because Richard Hell was in the Heartbreakers as well, So I feel like Cheetah Chrome, Richard Hell, like, these guys need to be represented here. Debbie Harry. So the fact that they're not, and the Talking Heads, I mean, that kind of bums me out a little bit. But look, beggars can't be choosers. The fact that they put this together, it's the first one. And look, hey, a bill that has Iggy Pop with, most of the Sex Pistols. I mean, look at that. Iggy Pop, Sex Pistols, Damned. Just that alone for $150. That's insane. That is insane. Heathen Deluxe says No Values was better. I went and had a great time. Guess it was a one-time thing. Well, number one, it hasn't been a whole year since No Values happened. That's number one. Number two, how can you say that No Values was better when the CBGB Festival hasn't even happened yet? You can say that you liked the lineup that was there and that the lineup was more preferable, but you can't say that it was better. The friggin' thing hasn't even happened yet. What kind of comment is that? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm so sad that David Johansen's gone. All the New York Dolls, they're all gone, you know. A Beastie Boys tribute would be great too, you know, just have like some memorial jams would be really great. Like that's the way I would think of it. Some like a memorial. If one of these stages, they said there's 3 stages. If one of the stages was the memorial jam stage where they just had like, you know, they had a Beastie Boys like memorial, they had a Johnny Thunders memorial, you know, and you had a bunch of super groups or, you know, put together groups going up there and doing sort of sets in that kind of way. Maybe like a Lou Reed tribute set would be cool, would be good, would be cool. I'm trying to think who else would you get for a CBGB festival. I mean, obviously, where's Agnostic Front? Truly, like the Agnostic Front should be represented, and they're out there playing. So I don't know how that happened. I don't know who's behind the CBGB festival. I don't know who's put this together, but I have to imagine that they have connections. It would suck if it was just purely corporate and that there was nobody from that time and place that was, you know, sort of acting as a consultant. One thing that I think is really cool about the situation is that for the tickets. So check this out. General admission, $150. Again, that is a deal, dude. Especially with Clara, where you can actually finance the tickets. There's no reason. I will be there. I'm going. So I will be there and having the time of my life. Last time I saw Iggy Pop in New York City, I got my tooth knocked out. Actually, it's not. Well, I saw him in Port Chester. I don't know if you count Port Chester as New York City. General admission's $150. Very important punk, which is, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of lame for $300. Yeah, no thanks. But here's what's nice. Young punks starting at $73. 73 obviously representing 1973. So basically half price ticket for people under 25 to experience the CBGB Festival. This to me is cool. Like this to me is really amazing. And I feel like that's in the spirit of like maybe what CBGB is about. And I love that they're doing that. Jody says on the 17th, it will mark 1 year since I saw GD live for the first time in Ohio with OG Misfits. Time surely does fly. I'm so glad that you had that experience. Who do you think is missing from this festival ultimately? Like, who are we missing that should be here that you don't see represented here? I mean, the Melvins is a weird choice. I'm not going to lie. Lunatics, I guess Lunatics makes sense. I mean, not that Melvins obviously played CBGBs. I would like to see some younger bands. You know, I mean, I just saw Bad Nerves and Prison Affair. Both would fit really well on this bill. Would love that. Who else would I want on this bill to really fit? That would be a really good fit. I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Well, there's one that I can't mention him. He's been gone for 5 years. Would have been great though to see him on. Oh, that's interesting. Ravengers. Yeah, I like fucking Alex Hagen. Bad Vacation from New York City. I'm not familiar with Bad Vacation. We already mentioned Bad Brains, of course. I don't know. TSOL. I would love to see TSOL. I saw TSOL at CBGB back in 2004. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you for joining me tonight. More to meditate on. Oh, Billy Idol, Generation X. Okay. Oh my God. Yes. A stimulator set would be amazing. Absolutely. Nick Martin and Denise Mercedes are around and Harley's already playing the show. So to put that together, you know, Nick Martin on vocals, that would totally work. That would work. Leftover crack. Maybe not. Oh, of course, the Undead. Bobby Steele and the Undead, have them go on a little early. That'd be great. I would be down to see that. All right, I'm leaving now. The show is now over. Yeah, of course, a Reagan Youth tribute to Paul, because Paul recently passed away. That would be good. All right, no more. I gotta go. List the bands that you want to see in the comments. Okay, thank you. Peace. Hair grease.